Recently, it was the 55th anniversary of Apollo 11's landing on the moon, and I was expecting the regular conspiracy theorists to start discussing this and cry fake for good measure. And the first to get in there was actually Hans Wormhat. So I thought, why not have a look and see what Hans has got to say on the matter? And I'm glad I did. Hello all and welcome along to another episode of Tinfoil Tuesday with me, Simon Dan. Thank you very much for joining me. Right, on with today's video and the ever entertaining Hans Wormhat. If you do not know who Hans Wormhat is, he is a man who thinks that the Statue of Liberty is not real and that pretty much every animal in the world is fake. And not forgetting that almost all of science is a total lie. Now, as we know, as I said at the start, he is discussing the Apollo 11 moon landings. It's been 55 years. What has he got to say on it? Let's have a look.
Apparently 55 years ago, the moon hoax occurred, and the math checks out. I don't know about the exact date, but I just saw this on Reddit, of all places, of course. And what I thought was interesting, and is just not surprising, is how obvious it all is at this point. And it's an example of, there's a, I don't want to say silent majority, but certainly a silenced majority of people who do not agree with the narrative on all sorts of topics.
If you're referring to the moon landing in general, then you're not quite correct. Here in the UK, 16% of people think that the moon landing was either probably or definitely staged. That's a minority. In the US, 6% of people firmly believe that the moon landings didn't happen. Again, a minority. Hearing people you follow on YouTube talk about it and claiming that it was fake does not mean a majority, Hans.
And I think that that's a trap. I think that in general, the idea of chasing a rabbit hole is a trap. And there are some people out there that, like, that'll be their one thing. Like, oh, the moon landing's a hoax. And, like, putting so much investment into, like, going through every little photograph, looking at crosshairs on photographs. And that, I don't agree with that at all. I think that's a trap and gives it too much credit. In my opinion, a lot of the NASA stuff is really campy and silly and mocking and contradicts physics, contradicts just what I see with my eye.
In what way does it contradict physics? I'd love to hear you back that statement up, my friend. I'm sure you won't, though.
I can use my eyes and look at the moon and see that that's not like a rock that's really far away that people can go and land on. You can just see that with your eyes.
That's funny because I look up at the moon and I do see a rock and something that people can and have landed on.
And understanding things like the inverse square law, which is a law of physics, and people will come out of the woodwork. The moon is a hologram. Yeah, it really is.
You saying it really is does not make it so, Hans.
The firmament is a dome above us, and I personally believe that the sun and the moon are beyond the firmament. So when I see the sun in the sky and the moon in the sky, I think it's like how video games work. You know how in an open world video game you're running around and the sun comes up, depending on where your player position is. Everything's personal, based off of the observer here. The sun that you see in the sky, it's where it is based off of where you are on the ground.
This is arguably true about anything you look at. But in the case of the sun, there are several factors regarding your position and time on Earth. And these determine where the sun is when you look at it. And that is true for everyone, I suppose. I don't think that it exclusively proves there's a firmament and that the sun is behind it.
And you're seeing it through the firmament. This stuff, it's all about optics. And that's why you get strange optical illusions of, like, I've seen the moon before where it's like enormous. On the horizon, some wacky things can happen.
Again, that is not exclusive to a firmament existing.
And yeah, this stuff just comes down to optics, and when things go really far away, your eye can't see forever. The stars are not infinitely far away, otherwise you couldn't see them, because there's this thing called the inverse square law. And Anyways.
Yes, there's a thing called the inverse square law, but you do not understand it, which is why you are saying this.
Outer space is fake and gay. That's the point. Who knows what's really going on in the heavens? The Bible is a better explanation. I guess the reason I'm doing this video is because I haven't made a video in a while, and I'm going to do a video in a couple days or something going over Genesis and talking about how normies get Genesis all wrong.
I'm sure we do, but it gets itself wrong, so there is that. Move on here, please, Hans.
Well, let's go through these slides. I've already said a lot. I've already rambled a bunch. I wanted to show the Reddit comments. I wanted to show that this isn't fringe to deny this stuff, even on Reddit. Tons of people. If you sort by controversial, all you got to do is sort by controversial, because they try to silence this opinion. But there's so many people out there that do not believe in the moon landings. That's a good starting point for conspiracy. I gave the warning earlier. I think some people get trapped on this. But it's like, that's like the tip of the iceberg. The whole world's a stage. And yeah, outer space is fake, but it goes so much deeper than that. But it's still a good one because it's the lie about where we live. And it's going to be a lie that's very important with end times deception. They're definitely going to fake an alien invasion.
You heard it here first, everyone. They are going to fake an alien invasion. I guarantee you that they won't. In fact, I bet you they won't.
I don't think there's any going around that. I think they've painted themselves into a corner with that, and that's what they're planning on doing. So in the very end times, if you know outer space is fake, you're not going to fall for whatever the NWO puts on in the end.
Well, I suppose you can always look on the bright side of this. Hey, Hans.
Well, let's go through the comments. I don't believe you. Hoax moon landing, it was all staged. Or did we? Really? Some people still believe in pregnant birds. That's an expression I've never heard before.
That's a future Hans video if ever I've seen one. Send this to people who think pregnant birds are real.
Allegedly. And fake. Allegedly. Kubrick. They were downvoting people talking about Kubrick. That's cool to see that that's just like a... Whether it's true or not, I personally believe that, yeah, Stanley Kubrick is the one who directed the moon landing.
No offense to Kubrick, but this was 2001: A Space Odyssey. Clearly not real. And you think he could have faked the moon landing? Hilarious.
And it's cool to just see that kind of common knowledge, common conspiracy knowledge out there. And I guess I'll point out that I've met other Christian parents through like Christian stuff that they won't shout it from the rooftops because people don't want to be seen as a wacko. But if you keep your eyes open and keep your ears peeled and see the kind of faces people make at certain times, you'll be able to find people out there that are Christian and do not believe the moon landing and that are open to things like the moon being a light and not like a rock that people can land on. So it's always cool to network and find new people.
This is the issue though, Hans. Too many people are spreading misinformation, you included. Misinformation is one of the most significant issues in recent times. It is rife, and there absolutely does need to be a pushback against it. Well, there we go. What do we all think of Hans's video there? Does he have a point about the moon landings, or is he spouting nonsense as usual? Let me know what you think in the comments below. But for now, we're all done and dusted for another Tinfoil Tuesday. Thanks so much for watching. It is appreciated. If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the thumbs up button too. I've been Simon Dan. Have yourselves a great day, and I'll see you all tomorrow for a Wednesday meme video with a difference. See you then.